What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today we are looking at EPL Season 18 playoffs. I just got home from a weekend trip, let's say, and almost didn't make this video, but figured I'd still have enough energy in me to finish off this mini series of EPL episodes. Group D, just didn't go that well. I think the only gamble I took was on JT, which went okay. Fuxi, of course, was like a must-have. I have here the best team, but C9 was the big disappointment, and also Nico didn't deliver at all in comparison to some of the other G2 options. So Monesi was for sure the best pick. And then it seems like Double VP was also great, and then Eternal Fire, who actually did quite well. Wycadia is someone I've had on my radar because he's been actually fighting quite well for EF at his price. Now he's probably going to jump up in price, but yeah, decent team, and well done to anyone who got high points or one of the top spots. When it comes to these partner fantasies, well, I didn't really do that well. I mean, I guess the thing is that these are not bad placements at all. I didn't even place all the boosters, but like once you realize that you can't win, it doesn't really matter. I'm not gonna throw boosters on, but some okay gambles, some not so good gambles like Monty. Let's get to the main thing. I'm probably gonna keep this somewhat short, this video, just because I'm very tired, but it's a shame because, well, I don't have a time to make a video tomorrow before the matches start. Got things to do. I have been thinking, though, about my lineup, and I have decided that I'm going to go something a little riskier. At least one of these round 1 teams is going to make it into my team. Or at least one of the round 2 ones. Thing is that you're gonna get only 6 padding points for 2 of these matches if you go for like Vitality, Navi, ENS, or G2. And at the moment, I'm not convinced by any team that convinced by any team. I think ENS is probably up there. In terms of teams, I'm convinced by maybe G2, but that poses the problem of like ENS v G2. Who's gonna win? I have no clue. And if you go for like the wrong one out of those 2, you're gonna be in some serious trouble here, because you're gonna only get points for 1 win and 1 loss, and then some padding. Vitality seems like the best choice here, but also their players are like expensive, very expensive. If you look at the most picked players, we see that Huxi and Apex are still the most picked players, which is possibly a bit surprising to me. I mean, Huxi both of them make sense, right? As they're gonna be cheap players to get padding, which is a lot better than expensive players who get padding. Let's see, I'm not sure. I could go for one of these budget options from high padding points teams. Apart from that, most picked players, we've got Snappy also kind of in the same boat as Huxi and Apex, just less picked. I might go with Snappy rather than the others, though, just because I think I think Snappy has higher odds of doing well in ENS than Apex does, or fragging highly in his team than Apex does in Vitality. Same with Huxi and G2. But also Huxi just in general is a worse fragger than these 2. Apex actually better ratings in the past 3 months, but still. We have Device, which is interesting because I think a lot of people actually are realizing the fact that you might want to go for these round 1 teams. Also Borop making it probably for the same reason. He's actually super cheap if you look at his price. I want to look at his event ratings. They're not like horrible, right? But of course not very, very good either. But like he still probably could perform quite okay, at least for this price. A player I'm eyeing up. Nerds at what price? What, 215? I think is a good pick for sure if you want to go for ends. And then Monesi after a really good group stage also makes it here, and he's not too expensive either. The question is, which teams do I want to gamble on? I think the easy pick on the lower bracket is like Virtus Pro. I think they still have good amount to show. Another run you could go for is like Mouse or Furia, but the problem is they face FaZe in the second matchup, and I think FaZe is also a team I could be picking here. They haven't been super convincing, but we all know how high the ceiling is, and they have some decently priced options. For example, Robs was among the better players in his group. It could be like a FaZe Astralis situation here. FaZe could definitely beat Cheat, but I'm just not that convinced that that's gonna happen. I think Astralis is like the easy team to go to here. I don't want to go Fnatic, Monty, Complexity. They're gonna play Vitality. You could go Vitality, of course, but it's just like they're gonna win this matchup almost always. Vitality. Here they should also win, and they should make it to the finals. So like making a Vitality team does seem like the sensible choice. But also I do want to take some more risks now, because I don't think I am ever gonna make it into like good placings in the fantasy leaderboard. So I'm mostly playing it for prizes, and just it's gonna be another situation where I have to just hope for better luck in the next season. But yeah, I think Astralis is gonna probably make it, and to me in Astralis, Device is the #1 player I want to have. I just love watching him play as well. And I do think Borup is probably the second best option. Is the price difference in Stair and Borup. I don't think it's worth it. It's like there probably has higher ceiling, but just for the price and the easy roll points from Borup. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I would suggest you doing that, because I sometimes post some fantasy things as well. And one thing I tweeted about is just the importance of rolls and boosters. And I think Borup is usually gonna give me high headshot percentage roll points. But okay, if I go for Astralis, I want to go for something riskier on this other side. I think it's between VP, Mouse, Furia. I don't think I want to go FaZe here. And I think the option I'm gonna actually go with is VP here. I have some decently high hopes for this roster, and I don't see why they couldn't do well here. I think Fame is the #1 player I would want to have in my team from here. I probably can get Jamin as well. Yeah, actually leave a good amount of money in the bank as well after this to get someone to as a supportive element. So we get like the 2 best players for VP here, and the best player, well, one of the best players for Astralis, and then a supportive element with good roll points for Astralis, and then 185. There's some decent options here. I think Roy actually makes a good amount of sense. Just looking at all the options here, but I think Roy probably makes the most sense. It fits the money perfectly. He has a player that has shown in this new lineup that he can frag, but he just didn't in the last stage, where I actually picked him, I think. Against Monty and Complexity especially, he should be able to do quite well. I think it is again, it's a bit of a risky pick. I think Krasnal is another player you could go for instead of him. But I think just Krasnal, I have more hopes about Roy. Also that role-wise, going entry Roy is quite good. So I'm gonna go with him. I think this is it's a gambly lineup, of course, but I think it can definitely pay off. And it should go quite well in terms of rolls. So if we go here, headshot percentage, pretty much every time. Well, then it's between Jame and Device, or Camper is probably just the Jame roll, right? Yeah. I mean, there's no way that these are better. Yeah. This is the way to go. And probably entry on Roy. We get some really good rolls here. And then Fame, he had a high T-side rating. Actually, in terms of the T rating, still better. What about multi? Not that great. IGL, of course, we could go for. Support rating actually quite high. Well, but I don't think it's better. And I can always calculate it quickly if I want to on my phone, for example. What's better between support and but I do think T rating. I would rather have the T rating. I expect him to do well. I don't even think I need to really make a calculation here. IGL is the riskier pick because he's probably gonna lose somewhere here. But yeah, I think I'm still. It's like, yeah, probably T-side rating. He has high T-side ratings. Let's go for that. It's the only role that's not like super great, but it's still good. Camper Jame, of course. I don't have IGL role, so probably going to be is Camper in lost rounds? No, it's just Death Spur round. Okay. So probably main op is gonna be feeling 22 and eventually at least. But who's the highest KSD? Jame. That makes sense with the surviving. Surviving is probably a pretty big part of that KSD percentage. They like to use this early. Also Jame. Maybe I save it for later. Can go main op here, but it's not like still a really good one. Maybe I save feeling 22 for Jame for later, for surviving. Flash assists, also Jame. Is James gonna have all the best ones here? Quad kill as well. I'll have quad kill Device. I have to go for some boosters on players other than Jame, of course. Aimbot, Kernel Fire. I mean, there's like Woxic and such, right? I mean, Zantares, right? How high is the headshot percentage for Zantares? Not actually that high. That's what I was kind of hoping to see. What about Vicadia and such? Not that high. Major, Calyx. Calyx actually has a high headshot percentage. That makes it a bit weaker. We have something else to have on him. Assists. Actually better for Roy. I think assists for Roy could be good here. Favor. It's gonna be Jame later. 8. I wouldn't use it here. Okay, Rambo power up. Makes sense here. That's fine. Then Fame. Fame is kind of going into this category in terms of stats at least, where he can kind of do. He's not great at rolls and boosters, but of course he can pop off and do quite well in matches. I'm just trying to think. Or up nade kill. Maybe actually go for up nade kill here. How high is Rambo percentage? Pretty low. Topping the scorecard. Maybe this is the one to go for actually here. I have to take risks anyways. It's of course probably less likely than Device getting top of scorecard, but it can definitely happen against 9Z. So yeah, somewhat short episode in comparison to what I usually do. I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's, of course, quite gambly. We're picking some of the teams that didn't do quite as well the first stage. But I think they still have things to show, these teams. That's kind of the thing I have. Like, I think 9Z are just happy to be here. Eternal Fire are just happy to be here. Mouse and Furia still have things to show. Fnatic is kind of in a weird state. Monty really want to prove themselves. I think these are maybe some of the easier first matchups in the first round of playoffs. These are not too hard second matchups. And if everything goes their way, Astralis and VP could beat Navi and ENCE as well and make it to the semis. And at that point, you're just super happy with your picks, of course, as long as they get high ratings. But yeah, that's gonna be my lineup for this one. If you enjoy this kind of content, leave a like and subscribe. Usually I explain my choices and think about my choice a bit more, but this time a bit of a weird episode like this. Yeah, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.